A major WWE debut may be set. MGK and Orton had a backstage altercation, former WWE faction in talk with AEW, and more. Hello, I'm Tempest, and this is the WrestleTalk News.
Support WrestleTalk!
Get exclusive videos over on our Patreon.
After a summer full of anticipation and hope that one company or another would get a shot in the arm with regards to their tag division, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin of the Motor City Machine Guns may finally be set to debut for WWE with a potential date in mind. PW Nexus has reported on Twitter. Sources close to PW Nexus have informed us that Motor City Machine Guns are NXT bound, with their debut potentially as soon as NXT's CW premiere. We are working to reach out to other sources to further confirm. WWE has been going the extra mile in preparation for the upcoming NXT debut on the CW network, with the men's and women's NXT championships scheduled to be defended, and multiple appearances from main roster stars CM Punk, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and The Miz, all announced ahead of October 1st. The Motor City Machine Guns have been top free agents since their contracts expired with TNA Wrestling on April 1st, and have continued to make independent appearances since that day. Neither Alex Shelley nor Chris Sabin have ever had a WWE run to this point, with the only small exception coming in the form of Shelley's first-round exit from the 2020 Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, alongside former Time Splitters teammate Kushida. PW Nexus is still a largely unconfirmed source, so keep it locked on WrestleTalk and WrestleTalk.com for continued updates on the status of one of wrestling's most influential teams. Machine Gun Kelly, best known for once canceling a concert after getting punched in the chest 65 times, has once again started causing a ruckus within WWE. However, this time it has not played out in front of the camera. Or really any cameras at all. Speaking on Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast, MGK revealed that he and Randy Orton had a backstage altercation at WWE's SummerSlam event, saying, "I saw Randy Orton. I remember seeing Randy Orton talk about me. There is a point where I was like, I'm going to practice a new version of myself. 3, 2, 1, f that. Amen. You. All my boys were sitting there stunned. Is this real? I don't know what's happening. The amount of people that pinned me as the aggressor in every situation I'm in are so wrong." Machine Gun Kelly has been a frequent guest of WWE's over the past 12 years, with the artist performing at WrestleMania 28 and more recently aiding Logan Paul in his SummerSlam US title match with Los Angeles Knight. So a backstage altercation with one of WWE's biggest stars would certainly be cause for concern. However, the backstage reaction to this altercation would tell a different story. Fightful Select has reported every WWE talent or staffer that we've spoken to has said that they did not hear about the alleged incident until MGK's appearance on Impulsive. The initial assumption was that MGK was working with his comments, as those around him say he seemed like he's enjoyed himself. And in case you needed a bit more confirmation straight from the other half of this alleged brouhaha, they continue by saying, anyone who asked Orton about the situation was just told outright it didn't happen. I guess we may have to wait to see MGK get that RKO. Randy did have a feud with his buddy Logan Paul earlier this year, so you never know. Hello and welcome to another edition of Survival Series, the show where you gotta name them all. Today, I need you to name me every single WWE pay-per-view.
What? WrestleMania. What should be the big five? December to dismember!
Ding!
A crazy time at the Coliseum.
Oh, is this WWE or is this one of those other companies? You know, the wrestling.
Just something just popping out of my head just now. This is £20, Tempest.
Better than Ivan Brett's fake ass money.
WWE everywhere. WWE excitement. WWE exit music. WWE Family Fridays.
With the 2020s nearly half over, why would I make that the segue? I'm gonna be thinking about my mortality for the rest of the day. With the 2020s somehow nearly half over, it is safe to say that one of the most underutilized factions in pro wrestling this decade was the Hurt Business, but now it does appear that the group may be getting another chance to write their story. Fightful Select has reported such, saying, "We can confirm there have been discussions and even so plans to continue a faction similar similar to the Hurt Business outside WWE. They go on to say that specifically, we've heard that AEW has had discussions with Bobby Lashley, MVP, and Shelton Benjamin in recent weeks. However, we've not been told that a deal was done or imminent. The trademark for the name The Hurt Syndicate was filed 2 weeks ago, which in turn caused the wrestling world to get themselves very excited about the prospect of seeing the once popular faction take on all comers once again. It should also be noted that while Bobby Lashley's WWE contract recently expired, former Hurt Business member Cedric Alexander recently signed a new contract with WWE, so he will not be part of any plans with the faction going forward. Earlier this week, we noted that as per Ibu, of Wrestle Purists, the real reason Daniel Garcia lost to MJF at All Out was that he had not signed a new contract with the company up to that point. Now, Fightful Select has confirmed that news and added some additional information regarding what some are saying about Garcia within AEW, saying one top talent had been under the impression this summer that Garcia was staying, but that is far from a guarantee. AEW believes that WWE has interest in Garcia, but we've not heard if any contact has been made as of yet. Garcia had been written off TV months ago following an attack from MJF, but made his return at All In where he cost our dear friend Max his AEW American Championship, causing many fans to think that a new deal had been signed. We now know that is not the case, but we'll continue to update you on Garcia and his hot Latin hips. I don't know why, but that made me miss Sat. It's been nearly 5 months since we last saw the magical girl Yuka Sakazaki and her incredible trousers in AEW, but fans need not wait anymore. Well, one more day, but that is it, I promise. Sakazaki had not wrestled since injuring her leg against Emi Sakura on the April 20th edition of AEW Rampage, but made her return at this week's Collision taping. She faced Serena Deeb on the show, picking up where the two left off at the time of Sakazaki's injury. Fightful Select has added some more detail to the timeline of her return as well, saying, "We're told she was at a recent AEW Dynamite around All In to get her status updated." Sakazaki had previously announced that she was moving to the United States following her departure from Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling, so now with her injury woes behind her, hopefully big things lie ahead. Like those pants. They are so poofy! I want them. Speaking of injury news, one half of the Renegade twins, Charlette Renegade, who I am just now learning's name is spelled with an E, may also be getting closer to a return to the ring, having been out of action since December 2023 with an undisclosed injury. Fightful Select has reported Charlette Renegade is backstage at tonight's AEW tapings and we're told is hopefully closer to being cleared. Charlotte's twin sister Robin, who spells her name with a Y, has continued to wrestle in her absence, most recently appearing as the return opponent of Jamie Hayter on the September 4th episode of AEW Dynamite. We here at WrestleTalk continue to wish Charlotte a speedy and full recovery. After nearly 2 years in TNA wrestling, Giselle Shaw has finished up with the company. It had been announced last week that Shaw would not be continuing on with TNA, and on this week's episode of Impact, she had her final match with the promotion, for the time being, losing to Heather Reckless. This comes just as Shaw was announced for a major match against Athena for the ROH Women's World Championship at Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling's two-night Forged in Excellence event set for October 19th and 20th. Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling is being run by former TNA figurehead Scott D'Amore, who was fired by TNA's parent company Anthem earlier this year. D'Amore obviously would have spent a great deal of time with Shaw during their time in TNA, and this booking clearly speaks to how highly she is held in his regard. Support Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling! Canadian pro wrestling will flourish once again! At one point in time, it seemed possible and maybe even plausible that Drew McIntyre would depart WWE in search of greener pastures. Had that come to pass, we would have no doubt been treated to dozens of amazing first-time matches that everyone watching this video would have loved to have seen, and that would appear to include Drew himself. Unsurprising, as he has always been one of our most passionate supporters, commenting on every video, username found below, punkfan69420. During a Reddit AMA, Drew was asked who he would most like to wrestle that is not currently in WWE. He gave 5 names: Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada from AEW, Tetsuya Naito and Tomohiro Ishii from New Japan Pro Wrestling, and of course, Joe Hendry. Now, Drew versus Hendry, clap clap, is certainly the most likely of these matches to take place in our version of reality, with WWE's ongoing working relationship with TNA meaning Joe Hendry fever has swept NXT. But this is also the only match of the 5 listed that has happened before, with the pair competing many times on the UK Indies during McIntyre's 3-year absence from WWE. As for the other matches listed, WWE has been more open to playing with others as of late, be that for one reason or another, so seeing McIntyre mix it up with the likes of Omega and Naito may not be the impossibility that it once was. Who knows what the future holds? With the all-out fallout taking place on AEW Dynamite, fans came out in droves to see what would happen next. Well, maybe like one drove. 8% of a drove. What the f is a drove? According to WrestleNomics, viewership for Dynamite was up 8% compared to the All Out Go Home show, with an average of 716,000 viewers on the night. This is the highest average AEW has achieved since the Blood and Guts special on July 24th, and is a 4% increase over the previous 4 weeks. Dynamite on the night was second on cable, only trailing the MTV Music Video Awards and Sabrina Carpenter's glorious big hair. That's gonna do it for me, but make sure you check back in tomorrow for my review of the SmackDown season premiere. But until then, check out the newest episode of Survival Series available over on Parts Fun Known.